Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video here on Life's Biggest Questions. I'll be your host, Jared Bronstein, and today we'll be looking at what would hypothetically happen if the Titanic 2, set to sail possibly as soon as 2022, went under. Before we jump into the video, do make sure you are subscribed to our incredible channel and enable post notifications by clicking that bell. Feel free to drop us a comment below with your thoughts on what would happen if the Titanic 2 had the same fate as its predecessor, and stick around until the end of the video where I'll respond to some comments from a previous video. So the Titanic 2 is literally just that, a replica of the original RMS Titanic ship, planning on going the same route the Titanic set out for, before unfortunately crashing into an iceberg and sinking, claiming the lives of over 1,500 men, women, and children. It's a project that was originally announced in April 2012, with an intended launch date in 2016. The launch date would then be delayed to 2018, and was once again delayed, with the current expected launch date to happen at some point in the year of 2022. It's expected to cost around $500 million when all is said and done, and although ticket prices haven't been officially released, I think it's safe to say they'll cost a pretty penny. The ship is expected to have the same capacity as the original, meaning it should be able to hold up to around 3,500 passengers and crew members combined. Now that you know a little bit about the Titanic 2, let's talk about what could possibly happen if it were to sink. Now let me just start by saying, I certainly hope it doesn't sink, and I wish those who do buy tickets a safe trip and return home. But before we talk about what would happen if it were to sink in the first place, let's talk about possible reasons for it to sink. All joking aside, the likelihood of the ship crashing into an iceberg is slim to none. Of course, it is a possibility, but with the decline in icebergs due to climate change, I don't think it's going to happen. In fact, the reason the first one did crash was because the water just so happened to be so extremely calm that night, and the iceberg was initially thought to be a reflection of the moon on the water, so by the time they actually saw the iceberg, it was too late to change course. We also have incredible technologies, such as radars that would most likely be able to detect anything within a certain radius of the ship. However, there are other possible scenarios that could see the ship go down. The most obvious one, a mechanical error. People make mistakes and sometimes things malfunction. Whether it's a piece of technology on the boat, such as a radar, or for whatever reason, a piece of the boat isn't properly welded together, although extremely unlikely, it is possible. Regardless of what could possibly make it go down, let's now discuss what would actually happen if it did in fact go down. For starters, I don't think many, if anybody, would die. Of course, it really does depend on what makes the ship sink in the first place. But assuming it goes down in a fashion that people have a chance to evacuate, I can almost guarantee not only will the Titanic 2 have enough lifeboats and life jackets for every passenger, they'll most likely have more than needed. It's believed when the original Titanic went down, not only were there not enough lifeboats, but when they sailed out to safety, half of them weren't at capacity, meaning hundreds of more people could have been saved. Obviously a lesson learned, if the Titanic 2 were to face such a catastrophe, you bet they'd be prepared. So let's just say best case scenario, there isn't a single death from the ship's demise, and everyone on board is able to make it to land safely. The story wouldn't end there. Although I'm sure the Titanic 2 would make their passengers sign some form of a liability waiver stating that they aren't liable for any damage or loss of any kind, I have no doubt almost every survivor would still file a lawsuit against anyone they could. And if they were to lose a loved one, the lawsuit would get even more serious. There would also, of course, be an investigation done, depending on where the crash happened, that would cost millions of dollars. Would they try bringing the ship back up? Most likely, because it would help with the investigation. Who would be the one responsible for the sunken ship now? Most likely Blue Star, the company who is behind the idea of the Titanic 2. Another important question would be, who is criminally responsible? The ship's captain? The owners of the ship? The shipbuilding firm? It would all really depend on the cause of the crash in the first place. But thankfully, this entire video is hypothetical, because I certainly do not believe the Titanic 2 is going to sink. In fact, as of now, although they are planning on setting sail for the year 2022, I don't think the Titanic 2 will ever actually hit the water. It seems the idea of creating a replica Titanic has been around since James Cameron's blockbuster film, with many of the projects seemingly going nowhere. The Blue Star's version has been pushed back a couple of times already because of investors backing out or lack of investment in general. As of now, it seems like one of those things that is a hopeful but quite unrealistic goal. Besides, I'm not sure I'd want to board the Titanic 2 even given the opportunity. Aside from the outrageous ticket prices that I'm sure will soon be determined, there's something about the history that seems just very eerie to me. I don't believe in ghosts necessarily, but I do believe in my gut, which is just telling me it's not a good idea. Now, as always, I love to hear your thoughts, so please do let me know how you feel about the Titanic 2 in general in the comment section down below. Would you board it? Why or why not? While you think about it, I'll be responding to some of your comments from the video. What if we nuked a hurricane? If you ask me, it sounds like a great idea. Bernard Griffin said, police officers had to tell residents not to shoot guns at a hurricane. That is a Florida story for you. Well, I would make a comment, but if it happened in Florida, I think it's funny enough, because who knows what they put in the water down there. All these Florida people people doing crazy things. Chelsea Smith said, well, that's one way to speed up the complete demolition of the Earth. I agree. I think if we were to nuke a hurricane, it would just spew nuclear waste all over the place, whether it be wherever the hurricane eventually stops, all over the water. It would make our water toxic. It would just be a terrible idea. And then the aftershock that would affect us. It's not a good idea. It would definitely do a lot more harm than good. It's also been proven that there's more energy in a hurricane than a nuke, so it wouldn't do much. Anyways, JK Jack said Trump brought me here. So I actually did a video on that. Apparently it's not a hoax, but apparently Trump didn't say it. People said he did. I don't know. From what I understand, somebody just wrote an article saying that he had a source that is anonymous but was in the room when Trump said certain things. I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. You guys gotta let me know if you believe that Trump would actually nuke a hurricane in the comments down below. Personally, I don't think he would, but you never know. And that does it for this video, guys. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein. Make sure you are subscribed. Drop us a comment down below with a question you'd like answered. And of course, give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Keep questioning everything, my friends, and we'll see you in the next one.